and you can quote this on me. There is no way the Orioles or Red Sox make the playoffs this season. Yeah, yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
I set the bar really low at the NBA predictions.
I don't think all Mavs fans look into the stats like I do.
It's not the great value Target brand toilet paper or whatever. It's the Charmin Ultra Strong.
I don't know if Nick Nurse is the coach for the Raptors. I don't know if he's the reason why they won the 2019 championship. I feel like that was more of a team effort.
The Mavs cannot say we do not miss Seth Curry shooting threes.
This questions the firing of Dwayne Casey, who I think is a very underrated coach.
To me, the Capitals really pushed all their chips for this season.
Hello, I'm Mike Grimes, and you've been listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NHL Opinions of the Week. We are back with top 10s, and now we start with probably one of the most important positions. They have the ultimate decision on what gets through the net or gets to the net and what doesn't go to the net, and that of course is goalies. And I'm joined by the man named Austin.
Yeah, so goalies are extremely important. We did a video regarding whether or not you needed an elite goalie or just elite goaltending come playoff time to win a title. But I'll let you start this out, Kevin. Who's your 10th best goalie in the league for next season?
So for next season, I'm going with he just had a great run to the cup, and I'm going with Bobrovsky.
You and I agree.
Old. Okay, all right.
He had a Vezina. He got Vezina votes, but he's getting old, and I do think it's not really on him because I think the 9 guys above him are just that good.
Yeah, I do. This was pretty tough because I think there are a lot of goalies or good goalies, and like I'll go into my 9. I have Thatcher Demko. I know he dealt with some injuries with the Canucks, but I do think he's a great goaltender.
I have Thatcher a little bit higher than you. My 9 is Linus Ullmark. The Bruins traded him away. Linus is still an elite goaltender. He just wasn't as good as Jeremy Swayman, so they played Swayman over him. Linus is down with the Senators, I believe, and I think he's going to have a great year.
Okay, so he's your 9. I'll let you do your 8.
My 8 is Jake Ottinger. Ottinger's had high highs, low lows, but he's become more consistent. I just like the guys above him. I think the Stars have a good one here. Definitely a franchise goalie, but I only have him at 8.
So my 8 is a guy you just mentioned at 9, and that's Ullmark. I do think he's a great goalie. I do have Swayman better, but he is still a top 10 goalie. He had him and Swayman both had an incredible save percentage 2 years ago, and still pretty good one last year, just not as historical when the Bruins were on that historical streak. So to me, he's my 8.
Okay, who's your 7?
My 7 is Ottinger. So you're 8. So we both have Ottinger just above Ullmark. I do agree. Ottinger has some lows, and he has been inconsistent in the playoffs 2 years ago. But to me, he is consistent. I do think he continues to get better. I believe he's learning about conditioning. Maybe it's the Stars using him and not using him too much during the regular season, because when I talk about that inconsistency, he had that 2 years ago. He played a lot of regular season games. So to me, he's my 7. I think he's a really good goalie, but this is such a great list of goalies.
Yeah, I agree. It is a great list. My number 7 is Thatcher Demko. So our 7 through 10 are all the same players, just in a slightly different order for some of them. I think Demko's better. He would have been a big part of if the Canucks could have beaten the Oilers in that 7-game series. They did get good goaltending, though. I don't think goaltending was the reason necessarily why they lost it. But I think Thatcher Demko will have a great year. He has the entire offseason to get healthy, and I think come regular season time, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, that's the I gave the edge to Ottinger and Ullmark a little bit because of the injury. But yeah, it's splitting hairs we both have 3 guys in this roughly the same spots. So that is I'll let you go into your 6.
My 6 is Andrei Vasilevsky. This may be a little bit lower than some people like, but he's just getting older, and I think the Lightning are kind of losing steam, whether it's him, whether it's his defense in front of him, or whatever you want to say. Vastly's still an elite goalie, one of the best in the league, arguably top 5. I could see him winning a Vezina this year. I think anyone in my top 6, I could really see winning the Vezina this year. Even though it wouldn't shock me if anyone below that did. But I think top 6 is really the standard. But Vasi, he like I said, getting older, he could deal with injuries because of that age, and he just has a big toll on him because he starts in so many games each year.
Yeah, I have him a little bit higher than you, but I understand it's really tough, and he is getting older, and the Lightning are not that great dynasty that they once were. It's sort of the age, and now they're relying a lot. They had to rely on Vasilevsky to get them there last time and put a lot more on him. And you mentioned him starting more games. My number 6, which I could also see guys saying low, is Ilya Sorokin for the Rangers.
That's your no.
That's
Sorokin's the Islanders.
Oh, Islanders! Dang it.
Rangers is the Sheriff's game.
Yeah. Okay. I always get them confused, and they're both great goalies.
Yes, I have both of them on my list as well. Yeah. Who's your 5?
So my 5 is Swayman.
Yes. I have Swayman pretty higher than you, but I'll let you continue.
So to me, Swayman is a fantastic goalie, and I understand having him higher. To me, I kind of went with past, even though he's had a great past. It's these guys above him are just some legends. Or I would say legends and held in high regard, and Swayman is moving up there. So I understand having him high.
Kevin, you definitely love to give the benefit of the doubt to the older guys.
Yes. Yeah, that's something I do. I'll give the benefit of doubt in the final year, and then I'll go, okay, for what you've done, I think you have a little bit of leeway. And if you have a terrible year, then yeah, you're yanked.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you give them a lot of benefit for a while, though, because they need to have a lot of bad years for you to have them.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my personal bias. Who is your 5?
My 5 is Connor Hellebuck. He just won the Vezina, but he played very uninspired and poor during the postseason. And it's not the first time that has happened. And I think I kind of lean towards postseason prowess. In the last 2 postseasons, 886 in 22-23, and this past year, 864. Before that, he was an amazing playoff player. In 2021, when they won their series and then lost to the Canadiens, he had a .931 save percentage. But these last 2 years in the playoffs, he's really turned his game down, even though he has good defenders in front of him, like Morrissey or some other guys that they have. He was a deserving Vezina winner this last year, and I could see him winning it again. He's 31, so he's a little bit older, but I don't think that's the main concern. The main concern with me is how he plays in the playoffs, and I haven't seen it yet recently. I mean, he played well beforehand. Just recently, though, the past 2 years, he's played extremely poor in the playoffs, and that's not necessarily something you want to see.
All right. So he was your 5?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who is your 4?
My 4 is Sorokin. Sorokin didn't have the greatest year of his career last season, but I still think he is elite. He was 8th in Vezina voting this past season, 2nd the year before that, 6th the year before that. He led the entirety of the NHL, not this past year, but the year before that, in shutouts. He gets a lot of them. The Islanders should be even better this year, and hopefully he can stay healthy. He missed some games with injury by the time the playoffs kind of got close, and he only played in 1 game in the playoffs, and that was only because of Varlamov. I think they gave up a lot of goals in that game, and so, or maybe he just started it, or I can't even tell based on the statistics. But Varlamov was the co-starter for the majority of the year, but then become playoff time, Varlamov kind of took over, whether it was injuries or otherwise. But I do think Sorokin will have a bounce-back season.
All right. My 4 is Juuse Saros with the Predators. He is a fantastic goalie, and he really helped the Predators. He's a guy that, to me, made them a dangerous team. and he's. I don't think there's much else to say. He is one of those goalies, and has just been a great player and goalie for the Predators.
Yeah, he's faced the most shots in the entire league the past 2 seasons, while also playing in the most games. He's been close in minutes the 2 years before last year. So 21-22 and 22-23, he played the most minutes, and so he plays a lot of games. He's led the NHL in games played for goalies the last 3 years. He's been sixth or better in Vezina voting the last 4 years. So yeah, I definitely see why he's there, and that's why he's my 3. Last year he's fifth in Vezina voting, and his save percentage is not the sexiest. It's not the best. It's 906, but that does not show you how good of a goalie he is. It's because he faces so many shots, and you can only be so good when you're facing so many shots. Rebounds and a lot of other things can increase the amount of shots you face, and I definitely can make it a lot more difficult to save everything. But just in who's the best goalies, UC Saros is always up there for me, and he's my number 3 this year.
Okay. So who is, you mentioned your 4 and your 3, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So my 3 is Vasilevsky. I believe last year he was my number 1, and just given the age and other guys moving up, to me, I put him at my 3.
Yeah, it makes sense. He also had a little bit of a down year. Who's your 2?
My 2 is Hellebuck. He was at my number 1, and you brought up the playoffs, and that is a key thing for a goalie, and that is why he's at my number 2, my number 2 spot, because he is a great regular season performer, but the playoffs hasn't done well recently.
Okay. Yeah, Hellebuck's your 2?
Yes.
Okay. My 2 is Jeremy Swayman. Swayman played amazingly and kind of stood on his head for a large portion of the playoffs last year, and I think he could do it again. He was 7th in Vezina voting last year, and that's only with him playing 44 games. This will be his first year as he was the main starter last year, but he only played in 44 games. So the other 38 games were played by Ullmark, so it was really split 50-50 almost. This year, that's not going to be the case. He had a 933 save percentage in the playoffs, the highest of the entire NHL last year. And a big thing as well is that he is a 920 save percentage in the playoffs for his career. He's learned from great goalies, whether it be Ullmark or other guys. And Ullmark and him basically had the same save percentage, basically the same stats. They're really close, but now Ullmark gets to be that guy for the entirety of the season. The only thing I'm going to miss is that the big hug that they do after every win. But I'm excited, and I think Swayman will continue to grow into one of the better goalies this league has.
All right. It looks like we have the same number 1 as Igor Shesterkin.
We agree. So we agree number 1, and we agree number 10. And I do believe that Shesterkin is the best goalie in the league this year.
Yeah, and man, he just has been incredible for the Rangers, and I don't think there's much else to say about our goalies. I think any one of these guys, a team is happy to have.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd say that all 10. I'd probably say top 9 or elite. Bobrovsky's on that verge of being elite sometimes. He does, even though he did have a great year last year, he still has the tendency to be inconsistent at times. He had a 915 save percentage and was 3rd in Vezina voting, but the year before that, 901. During the playoffs this year, he had a 906 save percentage. So he still has great games, but he has bad games as well. You could say, if he said he was elite, though, I would never argue it. So he plays in a lot of games. He led the NHL last year in shutouts. So yeah, I definitely think that he is a good one. But a lot of these guys, like you said, anyone would be happy. All these teams should be playoff teams this year. I think the Senators now getting Ullmark, they've been struggling at goaltending. This should power them through, because it's really hard to miss the playoffs with an elite goalie. It does happen. I mean, we've seen that a lot with the Ducks, but because Gibson just missed this list, and it's mainly just because his team is terrible. And he did not have the greatest season last year, but I really do blame everything that's happening with the team more than I blame him.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we'll have next year, and we'll review this list next year and mention it throughout the season. So let us know your thoughts, and we will be doing top 10s for other positions. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you hit the bell, like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more from Outsiders Opinions. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.